So I asked for questions to do a Q&A video to celebrate the 20,000 threshold, and yeah, you guys responded. Really wasn't expecting everyone to be so curious about stuff. Still, it's really cool to see everybody so engaged with the channel. Definitely can't wait to work on this. It should be a lot of fun. But for now, let's talk about anime.
Tarih yazıyor Allah'ın asılanları. Dünyada tarih yazıyor Allah'ın asılanları. Severek kabulleniyor bu yolda olanları. Severek kabulleniyor bu yolda olanları. Gülümseyin uçaklara, hak bize yeter deyin. Gülümseyin uçaklara, hak bize yeter deyin. Rabbimiz o uçakların üstündedir.
It's snowing outside, and we're finally in December. That means it's Christmas time, the greatest time of year. You get to stay inside all day, set up a Christmas tree, and eat gingerbread men. Fucking nice. But as this is the festive part of the year and our society is collapsing due to political corruption and cultural apathy, it's time to talk about a cozy anime about the end of the world. Girls' Last Tour is the anime adaptation of the manga written and illustrated by Sukumizu. It follows two girls named Chito and Yuri as they explore the abandoned ruins of a city after an unknown apocalypse ends civilization. With their Kettenkrad, basically a Soviet tank, they rolled their way through their daily lives as they try to navigate the desolate wasteland, gather food, and ponder what the world was like before the collapse. If I had to pin down the exact genre, this would be a post-apocalypse slice-of-life story. Yeah, it's clearly science fiction, and it has some scenarios that are clearly about survival, and the two are on a journey to the top layer of the megacity they're exploring, but they come across more as kids on an adventure than desperate survivors. In fact, Girls' Last Tour isn't really that grim or depressing whatsoever. It's way more of a light-hearted experience, and the emphasis is on showing Chito and Yuri banter back and forth, since their personalities are the usual complete opposites trope you see in comedies. Chito is a very mousy, studious girl that wants to learn about as much of the old world as she can. She collects books and writes journals, all to keep the information alive in her mind. Essentially, she's the serious one of the two and acts as the logical problem solver. On the other hand, Yuri is the ditzy, silly one of the two. She's noticeably more laid back and isn't as high-strung as Chito. Yuri is honestly kinda dumb. In fact, she can't even read. And she has problems understanding how the world used to work, which leads to Chito trying to explain it to her, and that's how you get a majority of their conversations. Though she still doesn't completely get it most of the time. Also, she has a fucking gun. Each episode is sort of a collection of connected vignettes revolving around the girls making their way through the city. They come across something that sparks a conversation about what the world was like before the war, or they find a place to rest, a problem to solve, something that gives them time to talk to one another. Once the issue is resolved, they continue the journey and it moves on to the next one. Sometimes the transitions are seamless, other times it's a clear jump from one place to another. Really, the main focus of the series is seeing the two discover aspects of society that they are completely alienated from. Something as simple as music is almost a foreign concept to them, and it delves into deeper ideas than just this, such as what death could be like, what would happen to somebody after they lost their purpose for staying alive, why people believe in things like the afterlife and God. Yeah, this show is weirdly deep. And it hides all of this in the skin of a goofy anime. Girls' Last Tour is a really good, chill watch. It's an apocalypse story, yes, but it doesn't try to be misery porn. In fact, it's almost a pretty optimistic story. Yeah, there are very clear war bad messages, but beyond that, it doesn't try to beat you over the head with nihilism. Chito and Yuri are both good characters. They have a fun dynamic and there's no cheap drama between them just for the sake of it, which happens way too often in post-apocalypse stories. Instead, this anime decides to focus on almost a bittersweet whimsy. Yeah, humanity is basically extinct and the world is completely fucked, but actually exploring the city and seeing the ruins gives off almost a weird sort of beauty to it. It's grim and they acknowledge how much was destroyed and lost, but Chito and Yuri are naive enough and innocent enough to still enjoy the little things in life. So it's like a Disney movie if Type Zero Negative made the soundtrack. If it's not clear, I really like this show. Yeah, it's not a violent action fest or a brainless ride filled with titties, but it's got that ethereal charm charm that keeps you hooked. The humor is simple, yet out there and kinda weird, and the setting is mysterious and engaging. Plus, the writing is actually more clever than you would think, especially if you just mindlessly browse past the show on something like Amazon. You want to find out what killed the world, and whether or not Chito and Yuri can find a sanctuary. It's compelling. Not intense by any means, but it doesn't really need to be. And I kinda like the fact that it doesn't just chop fodder characters apart every episode. And the whole style the anime goes for fits the story perfectly. There's an emphasis on quiet moments and selling just how desolate and abandoned the whole city feels. It's sort of the vibe you get from something like Nier Automata. Everything feels abandoned and dead. It is abandoned and dead, but it's almost like it's a completely different world on top of that, and the soundtrack helps cement that. There's nothing really that bombastic beyond the intro and outro, and there's stuff towards the end when things really pick up, but for the most part, it's a more subdued vibe. I like it, but it only really fits for the show. Can't imagine anyone trying to listen to the little music this anime has in their car, but it all comes together to somehow make this whole dead city feel weirdly cozy. The whole vibe reminds me of something like Yuru Camp, just with 99% of the world being dead. You could actually live relatively fine in a place like this. It's not filled with monsters or raiders, it's just empty. Really, your only problem would be the loneliness factor. But even then, there's other survivors you can talk to, and they're pretty friendly. This would definitely be a preferred apocalypse to end up in, other than something like Fallout or Train to Busan. Now, the animation is also pretty well done. There's a lot of detail to how they move, and when things get destroyed or damaged, it actually feels like a massive piece of concrete and metal is falling apart. Plus, they do a lot of exaggerated stuff for comedy scenes. It's not the most bombastic, but it kind of fits with the tone anyway, that it's not going all the way out there either. It's nice and simple. I like it, but yeah, some of you guys might think it's just weird. And I really do enjoy the character designs, even though they also are kind of strange. Chito and Yuri look like they have eggs for heads, but that's kind of the point. Plus, Yuri has those eyes. Yeah, those eyes. Pretty much any other character is kind of generic looking, so I guess this just lets them stand out and gives them sort of a unique look. And all this comes together to make a show that's honestly pretty good. I'll go ahead and recommend this. Yeah, it's not the most grim and depressing survival story out there. I mean, it's not something that you'll see children get shot or women raped, stuff like that kind of goes to show a really nihilistic look at the world. This is more of just, as stated, a bittersweet, almost like a whimsical look at how the world died. The characters are charming, and the story will suck you in before you realize it. You can argue that's one of those watch cute girls do cute things animes, but I'd argue there's enough of a unique spin to make it enjoyable. You won't watch people die, but it's definitely not a forgettable piece of trash you toss in a pile. Now, okay, clearly this isn't actually a Christmas anime, but considering that the major theme of the anime is coming together, peace on Earth, and it's got a bunch of snow, I'd argue it fits. In the immortal words of Ross Scott, if there's snow, then it equals Christmas. Plus, there's a fish theme, and isn't Christmas related to that fish thing I keep seeing on minivans everywhere? Like Jesus died and became a fish or something, I don't know. Point is, the fish is good, and so is Jesus. There, that's how Girls Last Tour fits with Christmas. Until next time, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys.
もしかしてちーちゃんが神様なのでは？知ってるか？神には食べ物を貢がなきゃいけないんだぞ。くれよ。やっぱ違う気がしてきた。はん。
Women!
I'd like to give a special thanks to my Subscribe-Star donators, Hand Rubbing Merchant, Epistemological, Joshua M. Howard, Cream Pie Kohai, Sir Atlich, Sexy Demon Horse, Taki Walid, Bost, Crumb, The False Knight, AMD Blue, Moonat, Mr. Cool Gamer, Shrimp Cake, Matthew Thompson, Bottled Titty Milk, Zell, and Lucas Stolas Enjoyer. Your guys' appreciation is much appreciated. See you guys.